So I have a great deal for you. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to take you to a brand new place. And when I get you to that new place, I'm going to make you an incredibly wealthy person. Who doesn't want to become wealthy? I'm going to make you incredibly wealthy. And then I'm going to make sure that you have generational wealth that lasts for all eternity, that every generation after you, you will be the father of so many generations, and so many people will look back and say that you started this whole thing. And the only thing I ask of you, only one thing I ask, is that when you have your first son that I'm promising you, your first son, that you have to murder him in my name. You have to take him up on a mountain. You have to murder him. And if you do that to prove your loyalty to me, then I'll give you everything I just promised you to all your generations. And you can become a member of my group. And when you become a member of my special group, chosen group, you get all of that, all the money, all the land. You get generational wealth. You get great health. Your enemies, I will fight for you and stop all your enemies. All you have to do is sacrifice your child, just one child. What is one child compared to generations of billions of people in the future who will have land and money and my backing, so that they will always be protected. Their enemies will grovel at their feet. Just one child. Isn't it worth it? Are you down for that? Well, here's the deal. If you are a believer in the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, then you believe that that is the father of your religion, that was the separation that happened when God chose Abraham out of the city of Ur to start and become and be his chosen people. And that he made him promises that billions of people will fall in line, will be the inheritors of his wealth and this God's protection. And all Abraham had to do was sacrifice a son, sacrifice a child, in order to have the money, to have the protection, and to have generational wealth. And Abraham was fully prepared to do so. Took little Isaac right on up the mountain, laid out a bed of sticks and woods, stick and wood, which is the same thing, and had the knife in his hand, tied him up. Didn't tell Isaac what he was bringing him for. Made the boy carry his own wood for his own sacrifice. It's a cruelty within itself. And when he got there, Abraham, knife raised, ready to plunge it into the heart of his own son. Now, of course, according to your story, this guy stopped him. This guy had a ram in the bush, and an innocent ram was killed in place of Isaac. Either way, sacrifice had to be made. Bloodshed had to occur. But the fact that this God, one, felt that the only way to test Abraham's zeal, the only way to test whether or not Abraham was faithful to him, a true believer in him, wasn't gaining all this wealth and showing kindness to the poor, showing kindness to the widows, showing kindness to the orphans, not being diplomatic and settling agreements of arguments between warring nations and teaching the love of this God to all the people around him and showing the evidence thereof through love. No. His faith was tested as to whether or not he was willing to murder his son of the promise. And he already had one son, but that wasn't the son of the promise according to the Christians and the Jews. But he was willing to murder that son, kill his own son, figuring God would give him another one. I mean, hell, you gave him this one out of a barren woman, you can give me another one. And was that careless? with the life of his son, made his son carry his own wood. If you're one of the Abrahamic religions, you believe that this was a true faith, true test of faith for Abraham, a valid test from a God that you believe in. Hence why many today, if they believe, not know, not have facts, not have evidence, but believe that they heard a voice from an invisible God tell them to sacrifice their children, they would do so. They would willingly sacrifice their own child. And I would think that this is fantasy, that no one would actually do that. Until I was doing a podcast and I asked a young man that according to the Bible, it says that if a young girl who is not betrothed to another man is raped, and that man pays him the 50 pieces of silver, because that's what your God says, your Bible says, that you would force your daughter to marry her essayist. And he ended up saying yes, he would make her do that. Since he believes in this book, he would make her do that. I did not think people will go to this extreme, but people already have. People will. Not because of anything other than belief. No proof, just belief. Not because they are sick, not because they're depressed, but belief. Belief. And in my thought process, if you believe anything this deep, you are sick. You have a sickness. You need to seek help. You are deranged. If you are willing to sacrifice your own child because you believe that you're hearing from this God. And that idea was reinforced. It was reinforced when this God supposedly impregnated a young girl who was betrothed to another man, which is a complete violation of his own laws, and poured himself into her womb, the holy milk, and bore himself from this mortal woman, and then sacrificed himself to himself, went full-fledged on with it, and allowed the sacrifice, a human sacrifice, that you commemorate with the eating of his flesh and the drinking of his blood. That is the teachings that you believe in. It's quite sick, and he doubled down on it. The first time, ram in the bush. The second time, nah, let's go ahead and have that full human sacrifice. It's a sick world when people believe that this is holy. But what do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe, comment. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.